Hey guys, it's time to Nefis and chill. In this video, I'll finally be showing you guys what my nightmare deck build or deck builds are for the hardest difficulty setting for campaign in Back for Blood. And of course, one of the deck builds I'm going to be showing you is specific to Doc, and the other build is not really specific to any one character you can play in Back for Blood. And I'll explain that more here in a bit. If you actually want to see the gameplay footage of us doing Nightmare, I just released the Act 1 Nightmare Clear video. That'll be linked in the comments down below and also in the video as well at the end or during the video. And I'll be releasing Act 2, Act 3, and Act 4 Nightmare Clear videos in the near future. Just gonna give me some time to gather the footage and also edit. But yeah, first we'll go over the Nightmare deck build I've assembled for Doc. With her, I've pretty much done Act 1 Nightmare, Act 2 Nightmare. I've been taken to some parts of Act 3 with a couple groups. But overall, it's held up very well in my opinion. And of course, this is all based on your group's preferences or your group strat. Personally, I feel like it's a very general deck. It will depend also on, again, some of the other decks that you may use in your team. You definitely should, before you go into Nightmare, discuss what kind of decks you're running, go over if anyone's stacking specific cards or not, and so forth to avoid any like errors you may incur during the Nightmare runs. So the Doc deck build here is composed of Support Scavenger. It's just going to spawn and also allow you to sense nearby support accessories like bandages, pain meds, first aid kits, defibs. These are really nice to have, especially on Nightmare. Field Surgeon, it's going to give you more healing efficiency. This base healing efficiency boost to your Doc modifier of healing efficiency that's already there is really, really nice, provided you are trying to play safe as well. Group therapy is pretty nice too. This kind of circumvents some issues you may have in trying to keep up your bandages and so forth in terms of medical supplies. Experienced EMT is really, really, really nice. People are bound to make some mistakes, especially if they're trying to take it a little slower, if they're not speedrunning through nightmares. So experienced EMT has often helped the groups I've been in with dealing a lot of mistakes or even just incoming damage from hordes that they may not be able to avoid depending on the map. Ridden Slayer is kind of explained in conjunction with Shoulder Bag. It's kind of optional. It really depends on how much damage you're trying to give to the group, but usually in most Back 4 Blood organized groups for Nightmares thus far, there's at least two damage-oriented people in the group. One support and one is kind of a melee build, or the one that grabs aggro of everything. So yeah, Shoulder Bag along with Ridden Slayer, not bad because you do get less damage dealt with Shoulder Bag because you do get 2 support inventory slots, but at the same time, the weak spot damage is going to be additive, not multiplicative, on the weak spots. And unlike some of the other Ridden Slayer perks, it doesn't really have a negative effect. The 30% one has a damage resistance negative effect, and of course, that's up to your comfort level. Safe from Recovery is just kind of a nice card to have. Depends on how well your group is doing or how familiar your group is doing with Nightmare. Chemical Courage is really, really, really nice. I mean, you'll find a bunch of pain meds usually on a lot of maps, and it's gonna not only give you temporary health, but also give you 25% more damage done per person you apply pain meds to, including yourself, for an entire minute. And that's a huge, huge amount of time, and I would highly recommend it, especially for horde timer maps or even special hordes and also certain like crescendo events or finales. Fresh Bandage is also really nice. It's optional as well. Again, depends on how your group is doing. Medical Professional is really nice too. This is up to you whether you want to put it earlier in the deck or later in the deck, depending on the map or act you're doing. Personally, I found for some groups, depending on how they play, Medical Professional is a must early on, and for other groups, it's kind of okay to kind of pick it later on. Charitable Soul. And another side note about Medical Professional is that Mom. If you don't have a Mom, it's really nice as well. But yeah, Charitable Soul. It's going to give you 50% more healing done to you of the effect that you use on somebody else. So let's say I heal somebody for 40 health, 20 of that health, 20 health will be applied to me. So that's really nice. And this also helps you with maintaining a supply of bandages. And I highly do recommend bandages in Nightmare more so than first aid kits a lot of times, because they're not only are they cheaper and more of a budget option for your copper, but with the Field Surgeon card, it's along with the Doc passive, it just, you have so much healing already that you don't really need any more. But yeah, this also really helps with your supply of support slots. Cross trainers, this is optional. Honestly, the next 3 to 4 cards are very optional. Depends again on the finales or acts you're doing. If you have any questions about specific maps or specific acts or whatever, it is entirely optional to you, and you can ask about it in the comments down below if you have any questions. I've seen a lot of other Doc players pick up very specific cards for very specific things depending on what they're doing. Do they want more used, or are they going to be the one putting out cover, or are they going to just be full on healing, etc., etc. And also, what map is it? Do you need more stam? Because if you fall back or fall behind, then it's probably not a good idea. So yeah, cross trainer is just a very general all-around card for certain things. Again, optional. Fanny pack, also kind of optional. This is just another support inventory, should you have the luxury to do so. If not, you can go with more damage or more stam. And more stam is just really not that bad, honestly, as I'll explain here pretty soon. Combat medic, your use speed gains 50%, and this is in direct relation to field surgeon. It'll balance that use speed out. And also, you also heal them for an additional 20 health when you revive them. Ideally, I don't really like this card too much compared to some of the other options I've used, such as more stam efficiency, or even more damage resistance, depending on the maps or teams. Because the idea of Nightmare, if you happen to get incapped, or if someone does get down, it's not ideal. It really is not ideal to have someone get incapped unless you're going for a speedrun or something. And the reason is, once someone gets incapped, it's really risky at times, especially during hordes or crescendo events, to kind of try to get them out, unless you have a defib ready. But again, it's just not ideal. But should you be progging through Nightmare, it's still a decent card to have, depending on your availability of defibs or your availability of time. Superior Cardo, again, just like cross trainers, is very, very optional. I don't think both are really needed for any act thus far I've done. You can go with more damage or trauma resistance, or more damage if you need it, or again, whatever the group needs as well, in terms of either healing or perhaps money, or even maybe you can pick up more offensive slots. So it really all depends, and that's really the point of a lot of Nightmare decks I've kind of played around with, and also seen a lot of people do. It will vary group by group, it will vary act by act or map by map, but this is, again, I've tried it for a variety of maps thus far for campaign, and it holds up pretty well. The next deck I'm going to be talking about is Speed. And this is going to be something you'll probably see a lot of in the coming days of Back 4 Blood. Or maybe you've seen it already on Twitch, whether on my streams or someone else's. There's also a lot of Reddit posts about speedrunning Nightmare is sometimes more efficient than just kind of playing it through fully or slowly, as the devs may have intended or not, we don't know. But yeah, speed decks are basically, if someone asks you to do a speed run, you better have a speed deck, because speed decks are all about just kiting, running, and making sure you never get hit. That's literally the entire deck. And there's a couple other doc builds I've kind of, doc deck builds I've kind of playing around with for speed. I've got more healing or more stam. Personally, I prefer this deck setup, especially for groups that may not be completely familiar with specific acts or maps thus far. So let's go over it. Support Scavenger is still kind of there. It's really nice to get bandages and stuff like that, or pain meds even in random cars. Cross trainers, a must. Superior Cardio, a must, especially for Doc. She's not an Evangelo or Holly. Fleet of Foot, it's going to give you a lot of move speed, and the move speed is ridiculous. How it stacks is ridiculous in this game. Olympic Sprinter is going to give you more sprint efficiency. You'll notice that you're taking a lot more damage now, minus 10% damage resistance. But again, the point of this is to never get hit, and that's really it. The only times it's really hard to avoid getting hit is if that aimbot of a stinger keeps hitting you, or a hawker, or something like that. But that's a different story, and it also depends on the map. And of course, experienced EMT. This is optional. Personally, I found for some groups, for certain maps where we need to speedrun or can speedrun it, definitely would help with the max health increase, for sure. Especially people who are taking more trauma. Medical expert, this is really nice too for yourself, especially because when everyone's speedrunning or kiting things around in the loop, you often don't get the chance to immediately apply pain pills or dressings to somebody else. But anyway, this doesn't apply to dressings, but if you pop pain meds, you move 50% more faster, which does stack with Fleet of Foot or Dash or whatever card you have for speed. And of course, we have Run Like Hell. This is again, it's kind of scary to look at that red text and see, oh, your accuracy is reduced by 20% for 3 seconds. But you honestly don't really need it, especially if you're gonna run something that disables your ADS or aim down sights, like Motorcycle Helmet. Motorcycle Helmet is really, really nice. That 15% damage resistance is a lot. 10 health is pretty nice, but again, the damage resistance alone is just a lot, especially if you get caught out by like a Wretch or a Hawker or something like that. But yeah, Run Like Hell, double grenade pouch. This is mainly for pipe grenades or flashbangs, should your group need it. But yeah, this is really important to have for a lot of maps if you're going to speedrun. Mag Carrier, that's kind of a selfish choice. Typically, the heavier the weapon, the slower your run, or rather, the lower the mobility rating, the slower your run. Pistols, SMGs, and especially when you put a attachment that gives you move speed for the SMGs, it's ridiculous. And we're going to be using a lot of SMG and pistol ammo for sure on speedruns, just to kind of clear out the stragglers out of the way, and just to clear out some things real quick, or to destroy nests and nodes. Energy drink plus 40% stamina. Motorcycle helmet, we kind of talked about that. Inspiring sacrifice, this is optional. Again, it's not very ideal for anyone to go down, but it does sometimes happen on a speedrun. So while someone gets down, you don't go back for them. You just keep going, but you also get a nice heal over time as well. Not that huge, but still could help with maybe 1 or 2 hits from a special. Stimulant is also something you can use, and this is like a much more better version of the previous card we talked about with pain meds. I believe it was Chemical Courage. I mean, speedrun, you're not really trying to kill things or kill everything, so the stimulants card is going to give you 10% more move speed, 10% reload speed, which is huge for SMGs and stuff like that. And of course, 10% weapon swap speed for 30 seconds. And this applies to anyone you use pain meds on. And usually on Nightmare speedruns, you don't use first aid kits or bandages, you use pain meds. And Killer's Instinct, that is going to be just kind of a free damage card, 30% weak spot damage. And since we were already having ADS disabled with SMGs and so forth, or whatever your gun you're using, that ADS disabled is whatever. And again, that's if you want more damage for specific maps and finales. But yeah, that's pretty much both the deck builds. Thanks for watching. I know it's a bit of a draw listening to me. I know a lot of people don't either like my voice or love my voice. There's no in between. But I do appreciate your time in considering watching the video. If you have any questions about deck builds for Nightmare, definitely let me know down in the comments below, or join my Discord, or just ask me on streams if you do happen to catch me. If you're not really here for Nightmare deck builds and you want something a bit more relaxed, you can definitely check out my Vet deck build video I put out some time ago. And also, I know a lot of you have been asking me to do Carly build or deck build for a veteran. I'll be doing that once I kind of finish up a bit more of Nightmare myself. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Thanks for Netflix and chilling, and see you guys next time.